space because I'm really focused on my material here. And so please just badge in and say POI. But definitely after my frame, I would ask for clarity if there's any. But just ask for POI. If I'm ready, I'll take you. If not, I'll tell you when I'll take you. So don't worry. Very charitable with POI. So I'm sure we should be fine. Okay, good. Yeah, and also please, so sorry, allow me to do this quick shout out. Kwesi Brony, your growth in the debate space has been so phenomenal. So this final speech is actually dedicated to you. But nonetheless, all praise goes to my partner, Alexis. I'm sorry I slept through round one, but you were still there to carry me through the rest of the rounds. Thank you very much for all of that. And to everybody listening, we love you so much from UCC. Yeah, good. I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. The actor in this debate is caught up in a dilemma of two options. One, they would either have to stay in their university, but they would risk not breaking a WUDC. Or secondly, they'll go to the University X, but they probably won't win the WUDC. These are the things you need to note as a panel. One, both of those options are based on a set of socially accepted principles. What are these principles? Option one highlights service to one's home community and compromising to ensure equal communal growth as opposed to individual growth. Here's why that is true. First of all, we need to understand one, that the actor is a good debater, which means that when he stays, there's a huge chance that he could set up a system that grows debate, especially originally in his home country, in the university that he currently is. But secondly, there's a section of the info slide that says that his home country does not value debate. They do. The only difference is that not as much as they probably value in the country where University X is located. But thirdly, since the country of origin is responsible for shaping him, for winning WSDC, which is the high school section, the social narrative would then be that he should stay to bring glory to his country. The second option also underlines another readily accepted social principle, which is the principle of realism. What this principle focuses on is what solves the issue at hand, as well as what provides the proximate benefits to the actor. So in comparison, it makes sense for him to grow himself as he obviously worked for that opportunity. But secondly, the fact that many people, even in the actor's home country, would eye this opportunity makes it sound selfishly appealing to everyone. What this frame highlights in this debate, panel note, is that one, both of the options have premise in moral legitimacy. There is no one of these premises that can be said to be morally illegitimate. But secondly, both options on the level of outcomes will benefit a unique set of people, making both of them great. Option one will benefit his home country because he spends more time in his home country growing the debate in those spaces. Option two will benefit himself and probably the people he relates to in the University X. All those means that people on outcomes are going to be benefited. Let me finish the frame. What this means is that what we need to interrogate in this debate is the source of the legitimacy of the action, not the outcomes. Because the most moral option would then become the one that stems from either obligation to himself or obligation to the society. The burdens in this debate is then simple, two burdens. One, in the balance of priorities, at what point should personal preferences begin to override social preferences? But secondly, under what circumstances is he himself, as a source of legitimacy, a valid reason to make the choice? Shoot your POI. If it's a clarity, I'll take you. If it's POI, please wait for my fifth moment.
Yeah. Given that you can only debate at Worlds like for 4 years, why then it's 4 times? Like, why do you think this is like a good option to the decision to make?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think that the thing we are questioning in this debate is how many times he can speak at Worlds. Because, of course, like I mentioned, imagine that he decides to go to this place, he can still do Worlds, he would enjoy. If he comes to his home country, it means that he's compromising on Worlds to be able to grow his home country. That is still unique benefits to his home country and a compromise in social standards. So what I'm simply given by this frame is to show that both options on a level of social, let me say, legitimacy are both valid. And that's why the burdens are important. Probably you should remind yourself about that. Let's start with the first burden. Panel, note that the choice to go to University X cannot under any circumstances be labeled as objectively bad by the members of the society that the actor comes from. Why is it true? 2 reasons. One, the decision in itself is an extension of the actor's interest to continue to grow in debate. The interest is one that the general society also equally thinks is good. In fact, your admission into your current university was based on your debate merits and your growth, which means that they all value the growth that underpins your decision-making calculus as a person and value your ability to choose debate over any other thing. But secondly, it can also not be objectively projected that you entirely neglect your home country. You may still choose to offer some trainings while you are away, like online trainings. But here's the concession so that UP doesn't see we are doing a bit of undermining. The concession is that imagine you go to WUDC University X and then your school comes. Maybe you end up beating your school and they probably won't make any breaks in WUDC. We still agree. But I'll show you why, even in those instances, you owe yourself a greater responsibility. As a team, what we say is that, especially when you are in a point where both options are as good and there is no least harm narrative, your personal goods to override social narratives. What is that point and why is it true? One, your desire to go to the university is a reflection of the original interest, the phrase, original pure interest with which you started competitive debate. Competitive debate is a tournament-based event, and the level of actualization that people who engage in it get is either to break or to win a trophy. What this means is that it becomes morally justified for you to go to University X because the high probability of you making a break as well as winning, which reflect your purest original incentive for doing competitive debate in the first place, only lies in University X. Why would this stand regardless of any form of pragmatic response that comes from opposition? Because we think that, especially because society in itself will be divided on whether or not the choice is good, the only type of backlash the actor should care about is the internal disappointment for not reaching their goals. That is what underpins the actualization. If they choose this, they don't get disappointed because they get what they want. The second point, when the community structure already encourages the transfer information and the pitching of people in competitive spaces. For example, in sports, players are traded, especially at the college level. So you have exchange programs where people go to play for some universities, gain some scholarships, come back, and all of these things. But even there are general narratives that encourage people to seek greener pastures in society economically. What this means is that in ordinary human societies, people have developed the narrative that at some point you need to uplift yourself before you uplift others. How does this relate to the debate? Especially when there are existing social narratives that don't explicitly make the option to uplift yourself bad, then it is reason to override. This is important for all the things I've shown you. But let's go to the second burden. Why he himself, as a source of legitimacy, is a good one and wins the debate. One, he has agency and so self-determined. But the second is the most important, self-preservation. Self-preservation in the context of competitive debate is not simply giving yourself wins, but it's simply ensuring that you get access to every single opportunity that helps you to grow competitively. You only get that when you go to Invest X. Note this. We admit, and that is the best frame you can ever get. On moral legitimacy, both actions are socially plausible. The question to interrogate now is the extent to which each option should override the other. We do that exclusively from OG, regardless of any pragmatics, we win this debate.
Thank you very much for your speech. Without wasting much time, we will please don't forget to examine yourself.
Okay, so I want to confirm if I'm audible.
You're audible, but you're breaking the dates. Probably want to read a motion for us.
Okay, if I am, where I am, there's no clear network, so in case I like, okay, see and go for college X. How was that?
You're unfortunately still breaking on some points. Could you try again?
Yeah, I'm still breaking because my network is so to go to college X. Not enough?
Just a minute. Can any panelist confirm just in case he's breaking on their side too? Oh, awesome. So yeah, hello, please. You are still breaking.
Yeah, guy. I don't know. My network. My network is unpredictable. The Wi-Fi is as far as the Wi-Fi can go. Let me try reconnecting.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I think you can start with
Oh. Okay. So I'm going to assume I am audible at any time I am breaking.
Hello, are you still speaking?
You can notify partner. You can't hear me.
You actually broke there just in case. I don't know. You probably want to stay at a place where the network is.
Oh, they're saying they can hear me, but I'm breaking. Am I audible?
Yeah, I think just in case you break excessively, I'll stop you so you can start your speech here.
Okay, so I have removed my earphones. I just want you guys to confirm at this particular point in that chat. If uh, you can hear me. Chat space, main chat room or chat. If I'm like audible still breaking. Okay. The point is you can tell me what do you want about this solution to make a difference. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1, go. So I think
Speaker, if you can hear me, you're breaking.
very important that we should pay attention to in this debate. That's
Yeah,
when we
okay.
oh,
Hello.
my earphones are off. I can't hear anything. You just really have to type.
Hello, you are still breaking so bad.
Well, we are managed. Okay. Okay. My earphones are back on. I just want to confirm if I'm audible now. No, it's okay. You can speak. I want to just confirm if I'm audible. So yeah, the problem is that I am audible, but the problem is that the network is just not so good. So yeah, shout out to my partner right here. Shout out to everybody who has made this final possible because I have no Discord. So my friends have been giving me their phones, different intervals to make sure I get this far. Yeah, shout out to my union. Thank you guys. Okay. I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so yeah, I think there is something very wrong with OGKS. It's so disingenuous on framing because that framing is only supposed to be fair on their side. So if they're going to say that the only obligations exist on their end, then that means we don't see how to debate. I think the debate happens better while we have the arguments really within the info slide when they properly explain what you need to go through. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to break down this info slide for you so that you can get so we can get a bit of some clarity. So I think it's this. It's that it's the person who is from a middle, like who is from like an average middle class family, right? And most like middle class average families care about very many things. These are individuals that also care about education and want their children to have the basic needs, care about white collar jobs and their children to become sharp investors and not. I think the reason why this child is the best debater in their country is because their parents have heavily invested in this child to become a better individual. Yeah. So I think there's something very crucial here that you should understand is that this is an individual who's the best from the country, right? It means that they have been successful in breaking because their parents have heavily invested in research, they have heavily invested in most of the things that have made them good debaters up to this point. It means the first time you have done this has not been your effort alone, yes, you're smart, but also been heavily investment by your parents to support you to like probably go for trainings, join the WSDC team, finding flights for free, and build up tournaments across the world. Also, secondly, means that because of this, you got to accepted into the top university of your country. So, in of itself, this is something that you and your parents have always wanted. However, the aspect, and this is why I think this is very important, is that the reason why your parents have been funding this is not so that you can win WUDC, it's because so that you can be able to get a good education, because that's what they care about. This is why the next step is going to be important here. The reason why you go to school mainly is not necessarily to like you know it's not necessarily to just go and debate, but the reason why you like do most things is inherently for you to become a good working person, a good citizen. That means that you join the working force and you contribute to the uplifting of that society. That means your parents are investing and they invested in your soft skills because they believed your soft skills were going to be able to elevate you into that university and they heavily invested. So the thing here is that they put you in that competitive program. The next thing here to say is that in of itself, we should also put to like attention, like we should just put it to the attention of the house that in the vast majority of instances, you will find that the reason why you are in a highly competitive program in this university is because this university has also picked up an interest in you like debating and the like, right? They have picked up an interest and they're willing to invest into your genius to be able to enrich their union, but to fund you and push you far. But the problem is that you want WUDC, right? So it means that in the vast majority of instances, you have money on yourself for like flight tickets and whatnot, but you don't want to invest and risk so much because you know you don't have a strong partner. The reason why you participate in some international cross competitions is that these competitions gain you traction and fame. When IAFA or when like Prosper or like when Prosper partners like Matt Saito or when you generally partner like Ashit Kumar or when you partner Bosio, you get traction in the very much majority of these debate opens. And of itself, you got from a very small country. There's something about countries here is that countries in of themselves are not really generally very big. So that means that because this small country are going through like generally from like having few the last decade, it's also not just necessarily based on the fact that you are in that small country, but also because that country like generally has individual like people who had individual prowess, who are smart and the like. It means then that also these individuals do not necessarily break because they had strong unions or unions with strong names, but generally because they're able to work themselves as a small country and push through. This looks like Kenya working so. This looks like, for example, Kenya working so hard to break at WUDC finally in this particular regard. Why is this all this? Have I taken time to probably break down this info slide for you? It's something very crucial that I'm going to start explaining. Let's start explaining a number of things here. One is that your contributions are not just yours alone, and the reason why you're in the university you're in now before you move to the next is not because of your own individual efforts. It's also efforts by your parents and the like. So it means that the best prowess you have now is not necessarily because you are a smart kid. It's also because your parents have like invested in you and have done so much for you. It means that there is an obligation on your parents. Why is that obligation important? Is that these individuals and your parents have given you what you want to gain the skills you want to probably be good enough to break at WUDC if you have a good partner. I think it's generally proportionate that you are able to at least finish school and then give them the job and everything that you probably need. Why does this remain important? I think it remains important because of that obligation that you still need to explain and how it still exists. That obligation goes as far as in here's your ability for you to be able to maximize your choices. We say you can be most likely able to do this in cross tournaments and gain all the benefits that you want to gain at WUDC. You want to become a famous speaker, right? You want to become very acknowledged by the vast majority of masses. You want a WUDC trophy. Notice that your goal is not even to win. Your goal is to break. Notice that in the vast majority of instances, most of the opens that are generally taken out, like Sophia Open and the like, are also given many like a large traction and are cared about and also respected by very many people. The fact that you're able to partner pro speakers, strong speakers with close partnerships, and win these opens and beat WUDC champions, WUDC former champions, WUDC best speakers, and win these opens and probably gain traction and a name from this gives you that same fame you would have gotten if you were in WUDC. But I think this generally becomes important because what I'm trying to give you here is that the benefits you get even when you go to that college are symmetric even if you stay. So it means that in the vast majority of instances, you get the partnerships, you get the cup gigs and the like. It means you become a general another person and you succeed as an individual. So factualization tackled, we don't find the necessity for you to move as an actor because you still get the same benefit. Let's move to the most interesting part, which is generally as an individual. I must give you a very big example. Messi, Ronaldo, and other very star players like Kylian Mbappe. I'll just give an example of the World Cup final. When Messi and Mbappe were playing football, they were carrying their teams to win that trophy. That is why actively they were the only people scoring because they're the only people who are generally capable enough to carry their teams to glory. Because not necessarily because they were like because their teams are like so good, but because they are exceptional. The exceptional ability for you to be able to show up and be able to break someone. We said then that your chances still are likely for you to break because of your individual prowess. Because these players have proven that even when they're in the shit of teams, Messi in like Inter Miami or Ronaldo in Al Nassr, they show that they're still able to rack up wins when they are playing. It means that even when their teams are bad, they're still able to bring up results. Why is that important? It proves two things: that you are able to use your prowess to be able to break. But secondly, in the event that you stay at your college, you are able to do things like what Prosper does in the African circuit and what people things like Andrews do in the African circuit, what Macharia does in the African circuit. You train someone who is able to replace you. This is already protected time. You're able to train someone who is able to make you a better person. Becky, for example, is DCA in Sabia Worlds. That speaks to the fact that she has gotten good training because of uplifting and Macharia. So since Macharia is no longer alone, you have more people to partner. If Becky was to partner Macharia now, they would probably break at Worlds or even reach the final because they are all damn good. That speaks to the fact that you're most likely going to be able to get all the benefits that they get. But I think Ayafa winning PUDC final all by himself and majority of his efforts speaks to the fact that you are able to do a lot of things by yourself. The burden from OG is not sufficient enough to win them the debate because you prove everything is symmetric and we're able to prove to you that the vast majority of instances you get traction and you're able to achieve all the benefits as they do. I think this is why we win because we show you why the vast majority of instances, in most cases, you're able to do something realistic. I think in the vast majority of instances, we still get the biggest benefit. Vote opposition. I hope I was audible throughout the whole speech. Yeah, was I audible throughout the whole speech?
You're audible throughout.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your speech. We shall welcome the Deputy Prime Minister to end the case for opening government. Here.
Chair, could you please confirm if I'm audible?
You're perfectly audible.
Okay, great. If I don't give shout out, then it will come the bad person here. So I'm also going to give shout out to my perfect partner. Yay! Thank you, Jonathan, for this journey of debate. It hasn't been easy, but here we are. Second shout out to Mary Anyoko Soa because she has been very, very supportive. All this light out and all of those network challenges, I had to resort on her. And yeah, food as well. Thank you very much, guys. And thank you to the whole of University of Cape Coast Debate Society for nurturing and bringing me this far. Hopefully we win this trophy. Yeah, so I'm going to begin assuming I'm still audible. Chair, if you could please confirm for the last time. I'm hoping I was audible.
You're audible.
Hello.
You've been audible throughout.
Okay, great. Let me set the timer and start right quickly. All right, so I'm beginning my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel. When you have two options that are morally legitimate, it means two things. One, that you cannot necessarily rely on, say, least harm, because most of them in both of them themselves are morally legitimate. But secondly, it also means that you have to choose one regardless, but only after you prove why the option you are choosing comes from a higher moral authority. For example, that you have received suggestions from, say, the dean of students and then your vice chancellor. Both suggestions are good, right? But you're most likely going to choose vice chancellor because of the higher moral authority, not the suggestion itself. How does this link to the debate? We prove that a higher moral authority is in fact the actor in themselves and not the society. Here are the principles that justify that, continuing Jonathan's first burden that he gave you. On the issue of self-preservation, we think that the way in which this responsibility can be translated in this particular debate is that the most moral action is one that ensures that they are in context that ensures the acclaim and relevance and objective growth, right? What does this mean? It means that the only place where that is highly guaranteed is in University X. Why is this true? Two reasons. First is that the fact that they already have their acclaim means that they have local institutions that shape debate growth, right? More than your local community. I'll come to OO and how this particular case beats their argumentation on, you will need other good debaters for you to be able to thrive. Second thing is that the university already has some kind of relevance, right? Your previous win in WSDC means that you'll also have the spotlight because the school also has an incentive to win. So opposition cannot say that, you'd have to start from scratch and all of that. You have globally, because you have that particular acclaim from the WSDC win. In essence, this means that it's important to be able to align with a society that guarantees that kind of preservation and growth, right? It means that UP cannot begin to say that, you may win, even if you stay in your local society. We all need to defend the hard stance to have an objective way panel into this debate. Staying means that the probability to win is close to zero. In fact, the team is only relevant because of you. But leaving means that your probability to win is above average. Because we know, your credit matters in debates, right? Every debater in here will testify to that, which means that it's only on this ground that we can necessarily objectively argue. Let me respond and point out a couple of things we get from OO and extend on the cases you get from Jonathan and show you how intertwining both of them will win from opening government. Opening opposition says, looking at the nature of this middle class this was a very preempted case, right? And I'm going to deal with it in my extensions. He said, when we look at the nature of the middle class families, that these parents are most likely people who would want these kids to be able to do well academically and all of that, right? So then why should we necessarily focus on debates and all that? Their focus is on education. A quick response is that the debate in no way, panel note, places any burden on anything to interrogate whether or not debate is good or bad or is important or not. You would have seen the kind of whipping Jonathan would have given you even from his prime minister's speech. But that is not a debate. What then is the debate? This is an actor policy. What we need to be interrogating is a couple of things. One is that humanity and we need to be interrogating what humanity and what fits into our daily life decisions. But most importantly, narrowing it down to the nature of a young debater in a particular university. A couple of things under this. First is that the praises you got as a response of the WSDC win still lingers in your mind. Second, given that he's considering to move to the new institution proves that he's on a journey or a quest to ensure that his WSDC win and legacy still lives on. Thirdly, obviously every debater in the streets would want to explore and get better at debates. Fourth, and most importantly, if he doesn't take up this particular opportunity, he would constantly be blaming himself for that. What does this mean and why is this bad? It's even worse when he realizes that people who are not even performing well like him when they were in senior high, or those he's met in online tournaments and have beaten trophies at WSDC and are making their name. Why are all these four things important? And what would anyone in his shoes as an actor do? Two things. One, they would want to do more so that there would be more acclaims from family and friends, right? But secondly, they wouldn't want family and friends to say, oh, they are not even good. I mean, there could be possible reasons why they even like won the WSDC. There could be other dubious reasons why they won. What this means is that there's an extra obligation on the part of the actor to be able to ensure that there's a constant push to like prove all those critics wrong and all those things, because they need to be able to ensure that there's sustainability. That sustainability in the debate space signals to those people that they didn't win WSDC through any dubious means. Before I move on, any POI.
Voice
That's
does
sure.
not need to control everything that goes into you winning WUDC. You're not a judge. You have not affected their subjectivity and all the other things that influence winning. How do you then guarantee that you will still win?
Yeah. I have shown you how necessarily there's a constant push to want to be able to be better. But if OO still thinks that the students can never be better, and so they get the likes of all the good debaters they mentioned to be able to partner before they make war, when I get into my extension that proves necessarily how they will be able to make better even in University X, it takes out their whole case at the end of the day, right? But things like that particular, so let me just tackle that, right? The response to OO's case on the nature of the middle class family and all those things, how they won't be better. Response one is that considering that the family and society were happy and praising when he won WSDC, proves that they would want their award to be able to continue to be exposed to such opportunities. Why is this true? This is true because the parents acknowledge, based on possible constant complaints from their ward, on how the university they are in right now, the one in their home country, is not giving them a push to be able to do better in debate. But secondly, the family would constantly consider if new university still provides the academic elements that they need to be able to do academically. At a point where they are able to ensure that the new university or University S still provides these things, they are going to do that. But third thing, and what wins us, is that the family will also recognize that there's still going to be more appraisals and acclaims from society when their child is able to enter into University X and they are able to make WUDC and make the wins and all that. When it comes to who prioritizes the decision-making process of the particular actor and how that translates into making themselves better, we provide an alternative, and that our policy is better for the actor to be able to use at the end of the day, right? Unlike OO, who provides no other alternative for the child to be able to be better, they say because there's no Masharia in their school, we are better. That's why we win from opening government.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deputy. Deputy Leader of Opposition, please you can start your speech.
Jay, am I audible?
Yes, please. You are.
Okay, cool. So I'm also having network problems as my partner. I will ask for a POI. Don't raise a POI. Don't probably put in the chat space. I won't be able to follow that. Otherwise, yeah, shout out to my partner, shout out to our union, debate fosters, and everyone who has contributed to this journey. Yeah, I'll ask for a POI maybe. And okay. I'll start in 1, 2, 3, go. I don't think you can fail to most likely get someone to train within your university, to probably should to some level have a partner. So if the debate exists around that, this is the argumentation you're then going to get. Very, very simple. Debaters love pride. And unfortunately for us, this sport is usually taken as one that is won by two people. Chair in this debate, we say that the wins are yours because you're the better partner. The losses are the poor partners to that extent. There's a form of gratification that comes out of this specific action that literally fulfills your inner self, your work in efforts that you literally put to drive this person better, but also to push yourself better. Why is this a higher principle in engagement to that? It says that you did a shitty move, right? You are too desperate to win. That is why you probably went to the other college, changing the entire face of your initial plans. That is to say, you had planned to be in the top university. This was your action plan with your parents when you're before you're born and things of the like. But now you're changing the face of everything because you're so desperate to win in that place. It means on that comparative, when you lose, the losses are significantly yours. When people are looking for who to shit at for representing West Africa, for just doing the margin of just breaking and things of the like that we constantly hear in the circuit, those are your own losses. Those are your own criticism. The problem is, if you always move where you have a handicap, people literally praise you because they think you have done whatever is within your specific efforts, and you're constrained by the nature of circumstances of your partnership. That is why more likely you get more glorification, but more importantly, more gratification in that specific direction. These guys argue from OG that, oh, we think this is something that probably self-preserves you. And we don't think that that is necessarily true. This university, this other college X doesn't think anything special about you to say that they are all going to appreciate you very much if you break. They have already gotten 2-1 breaks. That's more likely why there have been other individuals like you. What they expect from you is clearly a win. You then have to inform or show us in your likelihood analysis why you are most definitely going to be the college university from a very small country that is going to win WUDC in this debate. I think that is the only marginal impact that you would create to have this relevance. Otherwise, one, your winning is expected, so nothing special about it, but more likely you're even commanded and given a higher burden to show that you have these specific results. What exists on our comparative? Notice, Chair, what happens on our side is that the university you're currently in right now, the one you did all these many debate achievements so that they get to accept you into this highly competitive program, now recognizes that another college wants to put you up. Things are getting better for you because this is boasting rights. This is the best negotiating place you have for them to give you provisions, requisitions to do as many tournaments as you want, because you significantly show them that I choose you, and if you don't give me what I significantly want, I more likely have another choice to go anyways. We think this is the best place you exist in to fulfill that specific capacity, but also to get aid in whatever sort of things that you want. The clear trade-off on your side, that trade-off of staying where you are, makes things better for you. Your parents appreciate that specific choice. That is why more likely they are going to be more vigilant about supporting your debate journey, even though they thought your debate is supposed to only amount you to things like education, like what Henry tells you. This is why you still get to say within a top university from a country that is literally better than the comparative in which your college exists. It means you get to keep these credible connections that come out of this specific top university. You maintain the constant relevance that you're best debater within this specific university, and to some extent you have went and gone ahead and participated within WUDC. We think that specific relevance, that specific sort of like trade-off in itself becomes something you weaponize for your own change. You get better resources because you significantly are in a position to stand to negotiate for these specific things. But more importantly, you are taken, all the wins and success are attributed significantly you. Let's go to the comparative that these guys never engage in the debate. Henry tells you that you consistently already have a lot on your CV. That is to say, you have been participating in opens. Nothing is denying you in having these cross partnerships and still maintaining that specific level of relevance. You get this social capital, you get these achievements elsewhere, but more significantly, you're able to judge, you're able to cap, you're probably able to go and apply for WUDC as well, because there is no limitation that you're supposed to probably be a member of CAP at WUDC if and when you have been a member of CAP. We fail to see why that specific relevance doesn't become important. If the dream is then to be part of WUDC, still part of WUDC to some specific extent, you get to shape what motions look like. More likely, you're going to represent your country. You're going to make probably Africa more inclusive because you shape motions based around the nature of circumstances of Africans. You're probably going to have the best access, but also less to no limitation in terms of the power as regular speakers have and how they need to struggle with these specific charges. Okay, I'll take a POI.
So obviously, the way in which the motion has been shaped asserts that WUDC is the top priority. If it gets to cap all the tournaments in the world, the motion is from a perspective that assumes that WUDC is the god. That's the debate. Forget about the captains.
okay, I don't get why you say that you still don't participate in this specific thing, because either way you're going to participate in it, whether be judging, coaching, or doing these several things that you still have. You can still train a team that is going to beat these people irrespective, or you can get yourself a partner and go do it anyways. Again, you can do it another way. You have built a maximum capacity for this specific probably university you're in to have that specific sort of like partnership that you want to some extent. People capacity build all the time. Why do you still need to care about our impacts? It's because beyond winning and all these things, many of us value pro-am partnerships because we think these are debaters that actively are contributing to the success. We think these are people who are carrying others to present them to these specific opportunities. The trade-off on your side is that you're not doing a pro-am. You're going to a college where significantly the other individuals have already been successful. So you're just maintaining that relevance that you also want to win to some extent. We think that becomes harmful in terms of the cost that you're then losing on that specific side. Because on our side of the house, with your shitty partner going to WUDC to some extent, you still get to get that credibility of a pro-am debater who is doing this social work and carrying like this specific partner. It means that specifically shapes your agenda in terms of what then you get to apply these novelty projects that exist to things of the like, because of how able you're more caring about the circuit and less about the wins that you can get later on anyways. Chair, if you forget anything within Henry's speech, he says that more importantly within this debate are the people who have built that specific capacity that you now have right now that you want to enact in the first place. Chair, he says there is an existing obligation from the parents that have groomed you, the parents that have given you these specific resources, the parents that have allowed you to go to the best university within this specific school, even though you have been contributing most of your work onto academics. It means the reason as to why you have gotten into this best university is not because you are brilliant students, it's because more likely you got into the high competitive program on the leverage of debate achievements created by the relevance of your parents and other actors. It means you have to fulfill that obligation and show people that you're still consistently with them to win directly with them. Here.
Thank you very much for that, also. So thank you very much for ending the webinar. You welcome the member of government to start the quiz now and be setting your timer around. Member of government.
Yeah, kindly take your time. I want to time myself. I put my laptop off. Okay, all right. Let me just do this quickly. Give me about 30 seconds. Yeah. So panel, I'm ready. I would want you to really listen to this speech. Since everyone is giving a shout out, I think I'll give shout out to my trainees, Emmanuel Bruni, Kelvin, Isaac, and my partner, Mina. You've been so amazing. We never thought this partnership would be that fire, but here we are, and we are at the verge of winning. Yeah, so starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. As an psychologically egoistic actor, just as a sculptor wields a chisel to refine a block of marble, so too must this actor tirelessly hone his own path to actualization. This actor is not a mere vessel to be swept along by the currents of the fate of their parents or any societal whims and caprices that opening half and opening opposition argues. This is a purely principled debate, but secondly, it's a purely probabilistic contrasting debate to show why at the verge of that moral dilemma, the actor should either choose A or choose B. That's why the whole entire conversation that happens in the opening half cannot play, because a lot of them are largely uncomparative. But I think Mina will largely deconstruct them and show you why you shouldn't even consider them within your deliberation. A bit of framing to make the debate much more sensible. And I must say, opening government did well, but there were a lot of technicalities that they missed, and that's why I'm going to beat. I'll weigh why we beat them out rightly after my speech. First of all, notice that being a WSDC speaker is one of the most demanding things that you will ever do in your entire life. Why? 4 reasons. because the stakes at WSDC are much more higher than every format. Secondly, you either win or you either lose representing an entire nation, and the extent of mental pressure you have to work with, and even to make the team, and even to go to WUDC to be able to overcome all those biases and structural importance to be able to fight, means that to a larger extent, this person is much more wired to overcome all the risk and the capacities of probably, well, you will not win and all those stuff, which is the biggest decision-making calculus of this person. But thirdly, it means that for the vast majority of instances, due to the extent work and the extreme contribution that this person has done, it looks like most of these people, most of this person isolating himself, most of this either from the parents or he spends a lot of time with the WSDC team members, and most of these people are debaters, which means that on contact theory, the extent of interaction that this person has is larger on scale as compared to the interaction that probably he has with the parents, even if he lives in his parents' house. What this means, and then I'm going to prove why these things are particularly important. This leads me to proving the likeliest decision-making calculus of the actor and show you why it's important. 5 reasons under this. Notice that beyond external rewards of winning or persuading, many debaters are intrinsically motivated. The joy, like most of these people enjoy the intellectual challenge, the mental agility required, and the art of crafting strong arguments. And this intrinsic motivation adds another layer of perceived gain. The act of debating itself becomes a reward, fueling the desire to constantly improve and achieve greater mastery within the sport. Secondly, is of the paradox of the hedonic treadmill. Notice that we tend to adapt to new levels of pleasure, meaning that what initially brings us joy eventually becomes a new baseline. So if winning WUDC, it brings me joy, winning it becomes a new baseline, and I want to win that WUDC so strongly because it's the next highest thing that happens. And that's why a lot of rich people still want to make a lot of money and do things like massive erratic capitalism to be able to get much more money, even though they have that thing. Third thing is on the idea of optimism bias. Because the optimism bias creates a sense of control over our environment. We believe that we can influence events and achieve our goal more readily than reality might make it suggest. And this inflated sense of self, particularly when you're a debater that has won before, means that you're most likely going to have that inflated sense of self within your decision-making calculus. The fourth thing is on the social comparison. Given that I already proved to you that they spend much more time within the social sphere, within debaters, this social comparison can create a distort of comparisons, leading to focus on those who have achieved more and fueling the desire to catch up or surpass them. This constant upward comparison creates a never-ending cycle of wanting, given that the social sphere that this person interacts with is mostly debaters. You want to achieve most of these things within that time and to win the debate and the state thing, which is the state comparative with that decision-making calculus, is that most of this optimism bias makes this person much more sensitive to the potential of gains as compared to the potential of risk, because you want to have more, and so your preference is towards wanting to achieve much more. Why is this decision-making calculus important? Because it does 2 things within these debates that wins closing government the case. 1, it means that at the point of this decision where this actor has is in a moral dilemma, the person who most likely not have a hyper-rational instance to be able to make all those utilitarian calculations that probably opening the position and closing the position are going to argue. It means that they are most likely going to fall within their decision-making calculus and their internalized decision-making calculus to make that decision. Given that I proved to you that this is what shapes the person's incentive, then we think it's better for this person to choose that. But secondly, this means that we fulfill the burden in the actor motion, that is to prove what the actor's likeliest incentives are and why they should take this action, which means closing government is already winning over opening government. The second extension is on the moral argumentation. Mena will take you, so keep quiet, you are disturbing me. So we think that the comparative is, well, this one says you have moral obligation to your parents, and Jonathan proves that you have moral obligation to yourself. What they don't do in the opening half, which is the breaking of the deadlock in the opening half, is that none of them proves why you have a stronger obligation towards one side. And that's what I'm going to prove why. So my extension of moral obligations to prove why we have a stronger moral obligation towards yourself, even if you have a moral obligation towards your parents. 3 things. 1, we think you are most likely proximate to yourself, which means that you owe an obligation to yourself, because obligation and responsibility is proximity dependent. And that's why even though Bill Gates can use all his money to be able to cater for the hungry people in Somalia, he still use those things to feed himself and feed like his closer family members, because obligation is stronger when there's proximity. Secondly, Notice that obligation also is character and nature dependent. And given that you have much more epistemic access to your nature, your preferences, for that obligation to be true, it should be you that should be able to match preferences. And given that you know yourself better, means you have much more epistemic access to yourself, which means that you're able to fulfill that obligation better, which means that you own that stronger obligation to yourself as compared to them. But the third thing is a non-identity problem. One, you know, to a larger extent, given that all of you are moral actors, it's so clear why you need to prioritize other people, given that prioritizing other people or sacrificing for your parents or whatever goals means that you cap your extent of happiness, which means that it is self-torture because you deny yourself that endless happiness. You think that means that you torture yourself, which is that you don't think you owe an obligation to them. The last thing is on the pragmatics, if they want to have that pragmatic. On aspirational doers, what you say is when you see these things or when you see that people you are better than are winning, you are going to be sad. We think this is not enough for two reasons. Because they are only able to unlock their benefits when they prove that most of these people you are better than are going to win. But it's most likely not going to happen because it's mostly the people within your same capacity that are most likely going to these finals and are going to win. But secondly, they never prove why being sad is particularly bad. And that's why we win the debate. We think because you know you don't have a partner, and as OO said, you don't want to disgrace yourself, you most likely not attend most of this WUDC due to that huge risk aversion. It means that the repeated emotional response and the PTSD limits your ability to participate and excel in other things, which means that it limits your capacity to enjoy other activities and experiences. That is, if you are trying to enjoy something else, all you can feel is the anger and the pain of this huge inability to be able to enjoy most of the benefit that comes from winning WDC. It means that you can't even enjoy other things because you can't ever fully be in that moment because you are experiencing this other negative emotional response instead. So it is not just about having a small negative emotional response of sadness, but rather you can't even enjoy the life that you fully deserve because most of these things increase the pain on your utilitarian calculus. But it also means that you don't have a better mental acuity to be able to make subsequent and personal decisions that affect every aspect of your life, even if it's academic and all those stuff, because of the huge heuristics that have been able to prove to you within that instance. Which means that even if all these things are able to want to have a utilitarian debate, they need to prove that the actor will have that mental acuity to be able to make all those utilitarian calculations or even realize and be able to enjoy all these utilitarian benefits. If they are not able to prove that, they lose. And that's why, because human agency is a prerequisite for you to make all other decisions that affect your life. That's why we win here.
Thank you very much for your speech. And we just want to remind speakers that whatever you are saying beyond 7 minutes, 15 seconds, I actually can't hear it, and lots of panelists can't hear it. So we are not taking notes of them. So kindly try and respect the time as well. Without wasting much time, member of opposition begin the case for opposition as well. And please tell yourself.
Hello, am I audible?
You're perfectly audible.
All right, just give me a few minutes. Let me set up my time. So in the meantime, I have to be honest. I don't think I would have the time to take a POI, but because this is a final and there needs to be proper engagement, I'm going to try my best to engage opening government. So there is a long diagonal engagement. But if I can't, my partner would definitely do so. I am just saying this because I don't want interruptions within my speech. You can feel free to shoot on the POI, on the text space. I'm going to be glancing at the text space. But not totally, just so this is clear enough. But my partner would definitely take you if I don't. So let me set up my timer and I'll start my speech ASAP. All right. So I just want to give a shout out lastly before I start This shout out is to my partner who said he's going to help me break my course. So eager to see how that turns out. And yeah, let's give it a good try. I am going to start my speech then. In 3, 2, 1. This debate can only be won by the team that sufficiently characterizes the individual in this debate, what their ultimate goal in life is, and how the social identity around them influences their capacity to choose. From closing opposition, we are going to fulfill all of that. And please pause my time. What is your problem now? What the fuck is your problem? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, I am here now.
All right, you shall resume.
So I'm sorry, I had an interruption here, and I didn't want you to further interrupt me in my speech. So please, I would plead that my timer, let me just start my speech afresh, because I don't think I've gone far in, please, if that's possible.
Yeah, you can start afresh.
Thank you so much. Apologies once again. I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. This debate can only be won by the team that sufficiently characterizes the individual in this debate, what their ultimate goal in life is, and how the societal identity around them can influence their capacity to choose. From closing opposition, we are going to do all of that, and we are going to win this debate. I'm not going to do any response. My partner will do all of that. Let's get straight into extensions. Firstly, from the info slide, you get the clear idea that the ultimate goal of this individual and that of his family is to get him into the top university in his country. We are going to deduce 2 things from here. First, we can say that this has been the dream of the family right from when he was born, because that's what it's not changed within that timeline. It says a lot about that university and how people in that country are probably so eager to go there. We can then deduce that this individual going to that university gives him a guarantee to a successful career path in that country. I would further prove why this is important. But secondly, we can also deduce then that because he is from an average middle class family, his parents want this to really happen because you have shown talents that shows that you are on the right path to having a successful career after school, so that you are not an average middle class earner like themselves. Therefore, this debate cannot revolve around his debating career, but also needs to extend to the real world, which is what his life would probably look like when he leaves school. His main goal here is to succeed in life. Debating is just a part of that means to achieve that ultimate goal and not vice versa. Extensions proper. How then does he have more utility on our world? The first thing I would want to say here is he has a better chance of making it in life when he stays in that top university. This is true for 2 reasons. One, this is because in the world that we live in currently, the kind of chances that you are more likely going to get in life, especially as a graduate, is heavily influenced by the university that you attend. Look at the United States, for example, and how many top law firms in the US are more likely going to hire you if you are a graduate from Harvard University in itself. But secondly, because of the info slide, we can say that he is some sort of a debate hero in his country because he's the first thing to break in WSDC. Becoming the first person to do that means that his country has tried and failed at that particular attempt in a considerable amount of time. I think there's a tendency to give him heroic national identity here, right? But what it means is that this goes much more than debating, because there is no guarantee that he will be able to build a successful career based off his debating talents in government's world, which would be enough to give him maximum self-actualization in life or cater for himself and his middle-class family. Therefore, he owes his parents an obligation here, because being such a good debater from such an average home in such a country with rich debate culture means that they have made certain sacrifices that expose him to debating workshops where he has been able to build his career. We therefore think that it is very, very selfish to leave that university in pursuit of a pure debate career without considering the interest of your parents who had that goal as yourself to attend that top university. This proves sufficient that he's more likely going to succeed not just in debating, but also in the outside world on our side. But more importantly, let's assume that the probability of breaking is the same on both sides, because in government's world, there is no guarantee that he's going to achieve maximum utility from participating in WUDC. Why is our world still better? Two things. Because at best, in golf case, like the best golf case is that he breaks. If he breaks, he's just one of a number of 2 persons that have broken in the last decade within that country. There is nothing really special here, given that he can attempt to build a new team on our own side in that new top university, because he can ask the university for an avenue to sponsor him so that he can create an active debate union there, so that he can now have a partner that can join him in participating in WUDC. But secondly, even in the best case of golf, where you break in that school, the achievement is more likely going to be watered down, because people could say, oh, the school played a heavy role in giving him the breaking chance. On the flip, however, he is seen as the godfather of debating in our world, in a country where he is more likely going to build an active community of debaters. In the worst case scenario, where he doesn't break on our side, on their side, we think the original credibility that he has gotten from WSDC is lost, because as debaters, our individual rating of ourselves in tournaments is largely independent of our past successes. That is why even if Bosio is more likely going to be the World Universities Debate Champion final of 2016, if he participates in debate again and loses, he's more likely going to feel that value of him being 2016 champion doesn't exist. He has the potential to lose that credibility in terms of value from WSDC that he has gotten on our world. What then are you more likely going to get on our side? The first thing is that you are more likely going to, please don't interrupt, it's already out of time. The first thing is, in our world, you are more likely going to do WUDC when you graduate from that top university, because the motion does not fiat that is an impossibility. We've seen a lot of debaters go into debating the most when they leave schools. That is why most of us African debaters are even imagining a world where we probably leave this country that we are in, and when we graduate, when we pursue higher educational career, we can then get to do all of that. I don't think that's an impossibility. It's more likely that is still going to happen on their side of the house. But secondly, him and his parents wanted this. We think it's going to be selfish that you ruin your family relationship because you and your parents wanted you to get into top university. Gov cannot fiat that his parents want him to be the best exclusive debater, given that they know that is just one part of the career that can lead him to success in itself. But thirdly, he's less likely going to succeed in college X because he needs to work part-time jobs. Unlikely, his parents are middle class. It means they are more likely not going to give him proximate support and all of that. But lastly, and very importantly, the stakes are high currently because the domain of losses when you go to college X has implications on what you are losing in itself. We don't think that is what this individual wants to do. We have proven what type of access you are more likely going to get because this is a top university, and for your parents to have wanted this for a long time, it means you have access to expand your career in life. This is not just about interrogating this guy's career, the debater. It goes beyond that to prove where he succeeds. We win because we prove all of this. Proud to oppose.
Thank you very much for that speech too, and thank you very much. So as the judges are equally finalizing their notes, opposition, sorry, government rep, and kindly take the floor. We are ready when you are. So be setting your time and your shoutouts and everything.
Okay, so am I audible?
You are perfectly audible.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, fine. So shout out. Okay, so I think I'll do this. Thank you so much, Ezeal Johnson, for this partnership. That's my partner. A big shout out to him, and then anybody else that has supported me throughout this tournament. I really appreciate every single person. So, panel, I think Johnson has done a lot. Please, sorry, let me start my timer here as well. Sorry. Please, I'm sorry. Okay. So, beginning my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, I think Johnson has done a lot. So it will make my rebuttals very, very simple and why we are winning from CG. So it is very important why when motions are being set, there are info slides attached to them. This means that as a team, to win a debate or a motion with info slide, they should have clearly gone through their info slide to see what it demands of them. But then, let's take every other team at their best. Panel, it is important to note in today's debate that aim of the that the students want to get more medals, want to be CAP in tournaments or winning any other thing. If that is the case, then we think that we could have seen that OO is right in a lot of things. But then, with the cases Israel has given you, it will be a direct response to OO, CO, and why we are different from OG and we are winning today's debate. So, what does OO bring to you? Firstly, what OO says is that parents won't fund you when you leave the college to the new college. This is the response. Even if your parents decide not to sponsor or fund you, you're on a scholarship panel and it's in the info slide. You still go to the school. It means you still graduate because you need to be a standing student of the school in order to be eligible to participate. That means that the student is not just going to the new school because the school is nice or because he or she because he wants to win WEDC. He or she has to claim the eligibility before he can be allowed to participate in the WEDC. 2, what OO says is that you owe a moral obligation to reciprocate your parents' investment. No, this argument falls down to us because we prove why you owe a strong obligation as an individual to yourself, even if the argument is true. But secondly, we think consent of responsibility is always retractable. You make decisions based on the information you have at hand. This clearly means that the student made that decision of going to the university he is in now or gaining that, accepting that offer to be in that university because of the kind of information he had. That means he settled for the university in his country because he felt that was the best he could get at that time. Once he get there, or once he got there and realized that there are better opportunities or better agencies out there for him, he has to move on for the better one. This responds to this case about the obligation to the parents. But thirdly, panel, O also needed to prove why that proportionality obligation should come at the expense of yourself giving that sacrifice a self-denial, which also means you cap the extent of your happiness to make your parents happy. They should have proved why capping they should have proved why capping the extent of your happiness to make your parents happy is it's really important and relevant or legit in today's debate. But then, panel, thirdly, what do you get? They say that, oh, the debater doesn't want to win because he thinks others will praise him. Panel, if it's about winning or breaking, or because of, they say that the debater doesn't want to win because he thinks others will praise him.
He wants to win or break because of his own intrinsic happiness and human agency, as your analyzed you. That means that what is the aim of this student in question? Never proves why the actor cares so much about that external validation he will get from other people praising him rather than his own validation for his happiness. Because Ezio also clearly tells you why a lot of people are not doing well in the debate space because they feel like they are not getting the validation out there. I am Mina. I don't have validation out there, but I still keep on doing what I want to do because I think that intrinsically or myself, I have my personal validation to myself to do more and to do it well, not based on what the kind of praises I get from people. Panel engagement to CEO. So, with okay, fine. So I think I would have to do this before. So I didn't get you, please. Someone talking? Okay, yeah. I'll take you later. And please let me finish with what I want to do. So engagement to CEO. His main goal here, panel, is to make it in life when he stays in top university. This is it. If this person is a national hero, it means people already know he has paid his dues, which means that whether he schools there or not, he can come back and still get that employment CO is saying they wouldn't get. It means the case of employment is symmetric. People know you already because of whatever heroship these guys are talking about the person have. Also in the debate space, employers also prioritize the extent of soft skills and achievement that you get. And WUDC also heightens and give the chance of employment too, given that he would still have certificate. But panel 2, they said that this person might not win and it's bad. They said he has to work menial jobs. This is it. Is your proof on 4 levels why trying itself is worse comparatively? This person is on a scholarship in college X. It means all these things about money doesn't really matter here. But thirdly, they say it is a selfish interest to throw your parents, like it is selfish to throw your parents' interest away and then focus on what you want. Panel, we proved why you owe a huge moral obligation to yourself and not to your parents, giving you a moral agent too. It is torture to cap yourself for them. But lastly, what you get from them is that they base all their cases on their pragmatic calculations. This argument is premised on whether the actor is able to weigh all these benefits in order to make their decision. Also, is your proof to why you need a good mental acuity to achieve all those pragmatic benefits CEO says or CEO preach in their world. But this is it. Before I move to why we win over OG, please shoot. Be fast. My time is fast spent.
On your side, your parents and people from your circuit shit on you, and they are indebted to you because you chose them. Whether you win or not, that is on them.
So,
indeed.
Thank you, panel. It looks like didn't listen to Ezio's speech, and he still didn't listen to my speech. We tell you clearly that in info slide, your parents are happy for you. Aside the fact that you are in the school they had wanted you to be there.
The speaker still speaking because the speaker isn't audible to me. I hope it's same.
Yeah, I'm coming. Let me try it later.
Yeah, because she had about 15 seconds.
Hello. Hello.
It's audible right now.
Hello, please. Where did you lose me so that I'll see if I go back to that?
You have about just 15 seconds. So you can just wrap up.
I didn't get you.
I said you had just 15 seconds to end, so you can simply wrap up them.
Okay, sure. So, panel, I show you why we go over OG. One, we prove the likeliest decision-making calculus, and at a point where he's making his decision, why he should choose college X. OG proves that this person has a moral obligation to himself. Ezekiel tells you that it is not enough to wear a case from Siege when he tells you that he has a comparatively stronger obligation. It means we still go over them. But then OG says, when you see others who are better than you winning, you'll be sad. This is not enough for two reasons. They're only able to unlock the harm when people you are better than win. It is unlikely because it's most likely the best of debaters or within your strength that realistically end up winning. But also, they never impact that sadness it means at best. You get sad. So what? We prove that huge aspirational juries that compounding PTSD causes and limits your human agency. So in our world, we win because we tell you that at the end, these people wouldn't have the PTSD that they will gain. I wish I should have taken this decision and that and that. Panel, we win from CG. Thank you.
Thank you too so much for your speech. And we shall welcome the final speaker for the round of position brief to end the debate from us. So
Can everyone hear me?
the
Like,
panelists,
very clear.
yeah, as the panelists are finalizing notes, kindly set your timer so do everything you want to do. That's your speech.
Yeah,
Everyone
guys,
you are.
it's not your time to finalize your notes. Thank you very much, DSM, for stopping the recording. So, yeah, thank you very much. So, guys, special shout out to Mascot. I know his team practically lost their title today. Like, they lost the Premier League title today, but like, we're going to win this one. So, no Gerard moments. I'm going to start. POI is exclusively in the chat. I will take you. Like, I will take you. I tried to take OG like immediately at the first minutes, and also try to take CG at some point. But don't unmute yourself, guys. I'm going to just stop the debates. And the judges will have time to finalize their notes. So let's go. I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The first bit of weighing in this debate that gives us the debate from closing opposition is certainty. Every other thing in this debate is entirely speculative. It is speculative that you break at words. That means that you maximize your participation in College X. It is uncertain if you even get selected when you go to College X. But secondly, also, it is uncertain that you feel in all the ways that opening government and closing government describes. You feel happy from attending Worlds, but you feel happy from making the Octo finals and losing out in the Octos. That you feel happy for getting to the finals and are like not winning that finals, or you don't feel happy from not being able to make the top 10. This is important in this debate because all of these outcomes are entirely speculative. It's something that none of the teams on the Gov bench prove, which means that the domains of losses is important in this round. You lose your current admission about a course that you already care about, we are likely to succeed in because you are in the most prestigious university in your country. This is practically wins this debate. If every other outcome in this debate is uncertain. But there are two ways in which we beat OO. OO's case is premised on your university having the capacity that College X has. The motion sort of kind of like disproves this because like that's why the individual is not willing to make the personal investment to do this, like attend Worlds, because they are really uncertain about the current standard of the university within the debating community and the chances of breaking. Our case is independent of this because we explain why the interest of the actor then supersedes this. I'm going to with this debate in a couple of ways. One, I'm going to respond to what you get out of GovWhip, and finally, I'm going to talk about the 3 issues in this debate and why closing opposition is winning. What do we hear from the CG whip in response to our case? Firstly, so you can get employment because like WUDC, like being someone who is good at debating means that you get employment. Like guys, you need to get a degree first. It's unlikely that you get a degree on their side, but secondly, because of the fact that you are in an unfamiliar environment. But secondly, also, you don't have a scholarship. You just have an admission offer. It means that you have to work multiple jobs in a very, very different environment with the less chances that you get support from your family because you're poor, but secondly, because you made a decision that directly contradicts your interest. This means on the other side, it's impractical that you're able to succeed in that university that you're in, practically, not just mentally. But secondly, also, you can also get employment on our side because you're also we're an individual who were the first to break from your own country. But secondly, also, you're studying a course that you care about. Thirdly, also, within that particular country, you're studying at the topmost and the most prestigious university. This means, and you're studying a very competitive degree program. This means that your chances of success in the reward is significantly greater on our side. But then let's talk about the three issues in this round. The first thing is the morality of the choice and whether or not the choice that we make here is rational. Opening government's contribution here is that like it's a rational decision that you make inherently because of the fact that like society really understand that this is a moral decision that you have to prioritize your own interest. There are a couple of responses to this. But society wants you to prioritize your own interests. It's on the practicality of that particular choice. Moving into a small country does not send down same signal in effect. Like if you're going to move from Nigeria to a small country, people don't think that you're going to be so successful regardless. Like this would make so much of a significant difference if you're moving to the United States, for example. So that means society did not internalize this in the way that opening government describes. But secondly, also, you accumulate experiences from the people that you're proximate to. It's unlikely that society internalizes that you have a much more proximate obligation to a university in a different country as opposed to the individuals that you have an experience, a direct relationship with. But also the nurturing effect that your parents have on you means that you also owe them some sort of obligation. Obligation does not just exist on the basis of proximity. That's why we have filial obligation laws. This responds also to CG. But let's talk about the case of rationality. Closing government says, because you're going to make a bad choice, because like individuals are going to make a bad choice because of optimism bias, we should let them make it. That's not the point of an actor debate. The point of an actor debate is for us to evaluate the number of choices the individual has and their capacity in relation to those choices and what choice is better for them. This means that closing government is losing the debate because the metric that they provide here is incorrect. But giving this then, how did you fulfill, in what you fulfill the obligation to yourself? Because that's the premise of your case. You need to fulfill the obligation to yourself. On our side, you're able to fulfill the obligation to yourself better because the best case of all is that you internalize that you're going to attend Worlds. On our side, you're still able to internalize that you attend Worlds because you can also get a master's degree program. It's much more plausible that you get into a master's degree program. That means that you move into the United States, for example, which is that you also have the same effect of internalizing that you have fulfilled the obligation to yourself on our side, but in a much more successful way. This is not something that is impractically people debate at master's level at WUDC. This is really, really important in this debate, and also a reason for why we win the clash of the issue on the rational choice that the individual should make. But the important part of mascot extension, that is the reason why this choice is the most rational choice, because this choice is the choice that you have been acquainted to for the most part of your life, which is that your parents, yourself are interested or heavily invested in this choice. This is something that you heavily care about. All of the reasons that closing governments give you establishes why this is a short-term decision that you should never make. That's also why you're losing this debate. Opening government.
The value that accrues to University X is not because of the country they find themselves in, whether small or big. It's simply because of the global acclaim they have in the context of debates and competitive, which means all the stakeholders will still value University X over every other.
That's 15 seconds, guys. Hold on, please. So let's get to that. The second issue here is on the chances of debating success. Don't let the government fool you in these debates. The motion says you have had this particular college or this particular country has had 1 to 2 breaks in 10 years. This is significant or important to this debate. Mathematically, this means that you break on an average of once in every 5 years. If you're studying a 4 years course, it's highly unlikely that you break. But note that if you're an individual that's coming from a less privileged debating community to that particular environment, this diminishes the break chances of that particular community. Anyways, this means that the chances of break success on the other side of WUDC is incredibly low. It's slim. It's not even it's not even that you get the chance to break in your whole 5 years course at the point of time where you decide to move to that particular university. This is crucial. The break chances of the chance of succeeding at that particular university is not so high as the government would also like to claim. But let's talk about more direct responses here. Note that by OG's logic, then it means that your parents also is able to internalize this. This is a small country that you're moving into, which is that you don't accept the rationality of this choice. But also, this community is not significantly better than you. You're not moving to Princeton. You're not moving to LSE. You're moving to a small debating community that has little amount, a small country that has little amount of breaks. You're not even moving to the Philippines, for example. You just have attended Manila or like UP Diliman in those particular places. This means uniquely that you lose out on the chances of success on their side of the house. This means also that we are practically winning on their metric. Because if their metric is debating success, we win because they don't actually debating success. We can also get that success in the long term because individuals are able to rationalize that they can do a master's degree program and also attend WUDC. This is something that you can internalize in the short term. This is also something you have access to in the long term. But finally here, in other areas of success, this is important in this debate because it's an independent clash that we are able to win on. When you talk about it, the actor is likely to care about other things. You're likely to care about your relationship with your family. You're likely to care about getting a job in the future. On the other side of the house, you limit the opportunity because you're going into an unfamiliar environment where your parents are less likely to support you. But secondly, also, it means that you look on future opportunities. The ability for you to be able to attend LSE when you get a first degree, something that you lose out to uniquely on the other side of the house. Not that this debate, if it's down to debating, they lose. If it's down to where the individual's interest is filled external to debating, they also lose. For all of these reasons, Liverpool have won. Mascot has also won this debate.
Thank you very much for your speech, and thank you all for such a wonderful debate. At this point, I think the panel will just join the deliberation room for us to deliberate. And also all the best to all teams. Thanks everyone for being here.
Hello everyone. The ceremony would start exactly top of the hour, So we all want you all to just assemble or probably just wait at the auditorium voice channel while we wait for judges to get the results ready. Thank you everyone.